okay. No, I'm not laying down in this clip. But I was sitting here watching some reactions on YouTube as I was working, and um, there's some comments that popped up on some of the YouTube clips that I saw, but it reminded me of a TikTok I saw just yesterday with a young man getting tattooed, where he said that Future was more impactful than Michael Joseph Jackson of the Jacksons of Gary, Indiana. Just to be clear, just in case you weren't sure which Jackson I'm talking about. Um, and I was just like, what are you talking about? Future. Um, and there's two things that popped in my head instantly that as someone, one from Indiana, so we've been Jackson crazy, um, being a Gen Xer and being, a teenager in Michael's biggest times, um, and understanding the impact of what he did as far as record sales, that aren't equivalent to streams, and that there are people now, early 20 somethings, who don't understand when you talk about 25 million copies, that's people physically going to a record store. That's getting up and driving and purchasing a record. Or if someone says somebody sold 1 million copies in a week, even of a CD when we get into the 90s, it's people physically going to do that. It's 1 million people. It's not a stream. I've said before, I'm so not impressed with streaming because I stream stuff all the time that I don't intend to stream. Just because of Spotify, how it pops stuff up sometimes. And you're like, what the hell is that song? Then it counts as a stream because it's streamed. So it's not the same. But I don't think younger people understand that impact. And so when you see things like that, it's because they know Future or they know a Drake. And so that's the only real thing. Everything else seems like nostalgia. And because we don't have MTV and we don't have BET, those two things, as much as we could be critical of both, really did something for the culture. It did help, like, my daughter understand the impact of my generation of music, right? Which I think she's a 90s baby. She was born in the 90s, but she wasn't around for TLC. She was like 3 years old singing Baby, Baby, Baby in the back of the car. You know what I'm saying? But through MTV, okay, I get it. She can go see Keith Sweat with me because of MTV and BET. And she's like, oh, I get it. Or New Edition or those folks. And we don't have that opportunity to share how our music has been so impactful way back, right? People don't get like why Beyonce and Kendrick were like, oh shoot, that's Diana Ross, and standing right there, like, oh shoot, that's the queen right there. Why? They're so big. Why would Diana Ross be a big deal? There's a reason, right? We don't understand the hit and maker factory of Motown and how the way that they popped out music is a template for a lot of these pockets of folks now that we see that churn out hits, right? Pharrell and, Timberland and all these folks who have a team and have a group, So Def and all that. That's Motown. That's your friends from the neighborhood coming in and we writing. Girl, go get so-and-so from the projects over there. She can sing background. That's the Supremes. When we don't know those things, we say silly stuff like that. or we don't understand just how our music has penetrated everything, right? I think also why hip hop, when people talk about hip hop on TikTok, and I've said this 1,000 times, it starts like in 1993. That's how people talk about hip hop. That's when it starts for the younger generations. Like, right, when they do their top 10, their goats, it is going to be Biggie, Tupac, Nas. It's 90s, where there's 20 other years of hip hop that gets left behind because I've said again, you don't understand the transition from Rapper's Delight to Curtis Blow, to Run DMC to LL and BC's, to Kid and Play, to Public Enemy, to Rakim. Like those, a lot of this existed at the same time, but there was things that kept moving the culture, right? And all these voices got to be on out there at the same time, and nobody was tripping. Or, I mentioned all the time that we laugh, us older folks, about the Fat Boys, but the Fat Boys didn't get to make their music. Well, we got Crush Groove and those hip hop movies, but then that gives rise to Belly and all the stuff that happened in the 90s. So the fact that we as Black folks consuming Black music don't understand the importance of that, and kind of laugh because we don't like the cadence of a Curtis Blow and how he raps, but don't understand the importance of a Curtis Blow to hip hop, right? Like when we talk about top hip hop groups, Run DMC is not even on people's lists. I'm like, y'all don't even understand. Y'all wouldn't be doing certain things if it weren't for Run DMC doing certain things, right? Your favorite artists sometimes are on the list. Eminem's favorite artist is LL Cool J. And LL is rarely on a list, and I don't get that at all. I don't get Rakim. Rakim used to be in the top 10 all the time, but like I said, when we've stopped access to our musical history and our legacy, this is what happens. This is where you have people saying 50 Cent is better than an LL Cool J. Rapping wise, lyrically and rapping, but I don't get that at all. So this is my, again, shout out to Black music, all of it. I'm really mentioning hip hop just because everything that's been happening in the past year with Kendrick and Drake and all that. And, but we got to start loving our music and cherishing it from back to beginning. You can't say you're a hip hop head and you don't know anything. When you start talking about beefs and your beef only starts with No Vaseline, and Hit 'Em Up, you don't know. I was on TikTok talking about the Roxanne Wars, and people were like, what are you talking about? I was like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? LL cannabis. I mean, there's all kind of stuff. So it's just disappointing, but I'm hopeful that, we'll pull it together. But Future being more impactful than Michael Joseph, it's a sad day. It's a sad day.